Live from the Workplace Ninja Summit in Luzerne. Highlights, insights, and simply interesting talks. This is the Workplace Ninja Podcast.
And we're back. So that's a good start. We're back at the Workplace Ninja Summit 2024 with new people on the table. My name is Frans Oudendorp, and I have with me Merlijn from Belgium.
That's right.
And David Segura.
That's right. I have got a beautiful radio face.
And a beautiful voice, actually. Yeah.
Please welcome. And Merlijn.
Yes.
Why is it Merlijn from Belgium?
Okay. Yep. So, well, there's cameras here, so people get to read this, and they know me as Merlijn, but if you want to pronounce it, it's a lot harder. So I insist on putting Merlijn from Belgium on everything, but they insist on...
It's Merlijn van Waeyenberghe.
Yeah, you can pronounce it. I know. So I just... It's stuck with me because I once signed up for a Gmail address with that name, and it's stuck with me ever since.
Should we ask David to pronounce it?
What's your story?
Can AI write your last name for you?
Just try and pronounce my first name. That's hard enough, yeah.
Merlijn.
Yeah,
that's Merlijn. Yeah, that's better. That's better.
It's the A and it's the G. And it's the, yeah.
Yeah, but we have two community friends on the table. Let's talk about a bit on AI, but also let's start with the sessions that you had on the Workplace Ninja Summit. It's all about OSD Cloud, I guess.
Yeah, what a rocking year it's been since the last time I was here. CrowdStrike.
Yeah.
A lot of people needed a reimage, and they hit up OSD Cloud. I think 2 million downloads on the module, the PowerShell module.
Awesome.
About 900 installs a day. So it has really picked up. It's rock solid, stable, and love it.
I can agree on that because one of my customers, I implemented it as well, and we use it to do before the pre-provisioning that the workplace is completely up and running with the newest updates and so on and so on. So I back you on that. It's
thanks.
It's I highly recommended to use it in a professional way. It's a community tool.
It is, yes.
So you can use it, but it's so professional. And we will talk about later how you did that, because last year we had a full conversation about what OSD Cloud is. So if you want to know that, please listen back to that one. What is the main enhancement from last year in OSD Cloud?
Not breaking anything is probably the biggest enhancement.
Yeah.
Don't touch it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't touch it. When you have hundreds of people, or I don't know, thousands, hundreds, using it, you can't make any major drastic changes. You have to keep it stable.
Yeah.
So any tweaks have been minor. Keeping it updated with new images. I've got 24 H2 coming as soon as Microsoft stamps it and releases it. So that's probably going to be the biggest update this year.
Yeah. But stable as it is, so it still can be used in a very good manner. I love it.
Thanks. I will say it gets a lot of traction here at Workplace Ninja because I think it's used more in Europe than it is in the States.
I think so.
It's the way we support our customers. You know, U.S. is more large support, enterprise support, whereas here in Europe you have a lot of MSPs, and that's what they go to.
It's a bit more easy to bring it up to the table on the smaller companies, but I use it also in somewhat larger as well. But
I have a follow-up. Where do you get those metrics from? The install base, how many times a day?
So the first thing, the easiest metric is PowerShell Gallery.
Yeah.
We can see how many downloads. Well, at some point, about a year and a half ago, I created a few other modules and put them in PowerShell Gallery, and they don't really do anything, but when the deployment is actually being run, not when you start it, when you actually start a deployment and it's imaging a box, it's going to pull one of the modules based on the method that you started, whether you use the GUI or command line or OC Cloud Azure. And then I can track and see how many times that module was installed. And it works pretty good. So
Nice.
I thought you were going to say you wrote your own code to do the metrics, but PowerShell gathering, that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah, we
have
will
to be very careful with privacy, gathering too much information,
Yeah.
Definitely. And we will come back on the AI stuff in a few seconds. But before, Merlijn. For me, it's easy. Still.
It works.
You did
I
a
respond
session.
to both.
Yeah. So definitely. You did a session on Monday. Endpoint analytics, advanced analytics.
That's right, with Panu. Yeah.
What kind of?
So
What's the main key takeaway from that one?
yeah, it's a topic we often repeat, and we still draw a good crowd because it gets you the insight of what you have in Intune, which is your devices, your users. So it's the reporting node of Intune, and with the advanced endpoint analytics, you now get, especially the device queries, something that's been added, and people seem to really like that. So do I. It's that see and pivot tool that we now get in Intune. It's not quite there. It's gotten really fast, and for me, for the user experience part, that's been the biggest change. I really like that.
Yeah, and the other session was today.
Yeah,
This
that's
morning?
my favorite, honestly.
Yeah, why?
Out of 3 sessions this week, this is my favorite
Why is that your favorite one?
because that's one that got me tired. Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about that right before this recording. I was coding till 3 this night.
Oh, you should. Oh, I didn't. Yeah. No.
And now
it's
your
true.
wife is.
Yeah. Oh, she knows. Yeah. No, it's because it wasn't a coding session anyway. But I started building my own app, if you will. I'm not a software developer, but I know my way around PowerShell since a long time. So I picked up Python a bit, and then AI is all about Python, and I'm using AI to code. So, but basically we built an assistant that builds a graph query for you, a URL, properly formatted with the right endpoint, because it's sometimes really hard to find that in the documentation. Like find blue screens, it's in user experience, analytics, performance. I can't even remember. So, and it goes and looks that up, and I built an app around that in Python. That was the most work, and it's just a gimmick, but it's a community tool. I've released it. I've pushed a button to go live this afternoon. So that's my first app, David.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's put it, I like the OSD Cloud. Let's put it in the description when this video go online. So if you want to know what it is, look in the description. It will be there.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah.
But talking about AI.
Yes.
Because last year we had a good conversation on the last day of the event on AI and modern management.
Early days back then.
Yeah. I think a lot of improvements are going through the last year. Can you elaborate a little bit what excites you?
What excites me is how it's being perceived by the people. Last year, Microsoft was already all about Copilot, and of course they are still today. But for the people, for us using it, well, not so much for me, because I'm on a cutting edge of that. I just eat, sleep, and breathe that thing. In a normal conversation, you would say, "Oh, you know what I've done on ChatGPT or Copilot, whatever. It came up with this. It's a gimmick. It's not something we would see us using in production. Other than like for the security stuff, it's great with patterns, so that's been a given from the go. But in our workplace area, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
With this week, and I didn't know that. I have no NDA stuff or anything. I didn't know anything before I came here this week. Copilot in Intune, it works. It's out of the box. It's in the console. It gives you nice output. This is gonna get the traction that the AI needs to become a business tool in our area, at least. So that's what gets me excited, and we get to talk more and more about it. So it's good for me as well. I like to work with AI, so there's opportunities.
Yeah.
But always with community in mind. So that's I try to build tools like you have. It excites me. The return is just that, people can use it and learn from that.
But David, you're not into endpoint management.
I'm not.
Not anymore.
Currently, I'm a software PM at HP
Yeah.
on our workforce experience platform, which we are trying to leverage AI
Yeah.
in the platform. I'm going to build off what you said, Copilot for Intune. I got to see a preview of that earlier this year at the summit, and it's nice to see how it's changed and evolved.
Yeah.
From the mock-ups, from the initial demo, and I like what it's doing.
As it will keep changing and evolving rapidly.
Yeah, the KQL
speed,
queries,
Yeah.
the devices getting shown.
Downside is less people will want to learn Kusto. I love Kusto.
Yeah. So, but the question is more or less how did AI help you in creating OSD Cloud, for example?
OSD Cloud is a dinosaur. It was before AI.
Yeah, I know.
But what I have enjoyed working in VS Code is GitHub, having Copilot in there in the code. So when I try and type create a function, it tries to populate it for me, and it's pretty good. Probably the biggest help I get is when I write a new script. I simply tell it to write my comment-based help, and it does it. That's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's 5 minutes of my time that I don't have to type out a help file.
Yeah.
Now, more or less for a documentation perspective, because that's what I use it for. I do not write code in such the same manner as you do, but if I get code from you, I can ask Copilot, GitHub Copilot, or whatever AI tool, what is this code? What is it? What is it actually doing? And the responses are quite good, so I can learn, I can recode, I can understand what kind of application it is, and that helps me really.
Yeah. And that's what LLMs are great at.
Yeah.
They see patterns, and I mean, coding's all about algorithms, logic, patterns, so that's what it's really good at.
I'll give you a tip, though. In PowerShell, we have something called a synopsis. Just read that.
Yeah. I know, but not everyone. Okay, look, normal developer is using the synopsis as well, right? But how many community tools are there with the synopsis fully filled in
And up to date.
I know, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
OSD module, which is what makes OSD Cloud work, has 355 public functions. And comment-based help, synopsis is in every single 50 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to leverage what you said. If you grab that code and you said, that's great, but I want it to do something slightly different from me, but I don't know how to do that. That's a great little thing that you can do with the free chat agents. Like if it's small enough, I'll give you a good chance of getting there easily.
Yeah.
And then share it, and update the documentation when you've done that. Yeah.
I probably want to add that PowerShell is a skill that takes years to get good at. If this had been around when I started learning PowerShell, that learning curve would have been so much quicker. Yeah. And I wish it was around when I started PowerShell, but glad it's here now. But I think the new developers, the new people who are starting in code, it's phenomenal. Yeah. Phenomenal place, phenomenal time for them.
Yeah, from a learning experience for
Exactly.
documentation, that's really, really good. If you want to build something new, it's probably somewhat harder. It probably can be used, but if you want to change code, like Merlijn was saying, I think that way it's getting better and better. But even make new code, it's sometimes
the learning curve is not as steep as you might think. It's about finding the right tools, the right models, and a little bit of prompt engineering. And there's some tools that have done a good job at just setting that framework. So watch that space. It's just getting more and more accessible. And I like to launch a term. It's not my idea. I came across it in the last few weeks. I'm not a software engineer. I've done some programming in school, right? I've done scripting for a long time. I'm that old to have seen PowerShell too. I was just talking about PowerShell now, but yeah, I've done C++. So Visual Basic 5. You can guess.
Pascal.
Turbo Pascal. Yeah, absolutely. Assembler. All right, we're going down.
Punch cards.
Oh no, not that far. But yeah, I'm not a programmer by far. But I've found this movement of a trend more like it's calling yourself a software composer. I love that. You put in the scaffolding with a prompt. You say, this is what I'd like to build. Now change this. And you get the help from AI. And if you learn while doing that, you can absolutely deliver something yourself. I like that idea of software composing. Sounds nice. Yeah.
Definitely. But we're on the Workplace Ninja Summit. All sysadmins are running around over here. What do you think about AI and the sysadmin work that we have?
Well, Copilot and Intune is going to be the greatest addition that we've seen this week. It's out of the box. You don't need to learn anything to use that. You just ask it a question, right?
Yep.
I think that's the greatest stuff and they launched it here. How cool is that? It's not at Ignite. It's now. It's here.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, like you said yourself, you use it to get insight on what's this code doing and why is it doing that? Maybe why is it broken? Why doesn't it work for me? I think that's a great addition, and you don't need to learn much about that. Just spend a little time.
Yeah.
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 I see it the same as code, as helping me code. I mean, it's a learning tool. It's going to be there, and maybe I'll use it, maybe I won't. But for people who aren't experienced with Intune, maybe just trying it out for the first time and or new to being a sysadmin, I mean, there are hundreds of different areas in Intune that you can configure and lots of places you can set wrong. And just having that assistant there anytime you need it, game changer.
You said it. People that are new on the job and got to learn something. You know, you want to learn some PowerShell. You want to learn a few other skills as well. Just ask it about, how do I use this Intune thing? What is it? You know, you could ask it that. But I can see it also for the smaller teams that don't have, maybe they have one IT guy that has to do all of it, has to juggle everything. So that's going to be, AI is not going to take our job. You know that story. No, I don't believe in that. You don't either. But is it an extra set of, well, hands is the wrong term, but it's it's
like
an extra tool.
Lavanya from the Intune Copilot team. Lavanya was talking about that. It's Copilot. You're in the driver's seat. It's helping you, and I think that is what AI does.
Yeah, exactly. But you're still the pilot in that you also have liability, responsibility, and you can help AI, your co-pilot, get better by prompt engineering and all of that.
But that's the most important thing. What I get from the other sessions and the other recordings that I've done, prompt engineering, to ask the right questions, go to the very basics, and give the information before you can get information out. That is so important. And I think in our world, because I have the knowledge, I'm with my knowledge, I am 3 steps further than Copilot already is at that moment, because you need to feed them with questions.
Yeah.
And you need to communicate with it.
Yeah.
And that is the difficult thing for sysadmins, I guess.
You're still the brain power, but it's a source of knowledge that's readily available. And, otherwise you might have to ask 30 different people or even just 2 people, but it's right there and you can gather that data. But also you still have to look at it and go like, is that right? Sometimes I ask it like, are you sure?
Yep.
And it usually goes, oh, no, you're right. Then you ask it again, are you sure? Oh, no, I was wrong again. And you can play with that.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's cool. It's nice. You know what? Prompt engineering, it's a bit of a buzzword. I was almost going to say, if that's not on your resume this year, that's a skill to learn. But you know what? Every person is going to learn prompt engineering.
Okay.
If these tools get even more readily available, everybody's using that. And if you learn how to just give it you feed it a little bit more direction, then...
You need to educate me. I come to Belgium. on that.
For sure. Hop across that border. Yeah.
Yeah, it's even close to that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
What do you think of the future? We will probably back next year together on this table.
You know,
Please.
one thing I've been thinking about since I sat here is my son recently he's 12. He recently took a camp for coding. I can see, and there's been a big push getting kids into coding, you know,
Makes sense.
yeah, and I can definitely see, you know, more camps, getting more young people, more kids involved in technology and IT and coding and doing the things that we do.
Yep.
And I think it's gonna, I don't know, bring more people in to the fold, so to say.
Code is important.
It's more easy with all the things that we had at the moment.
Well, I think at a young age, you get them to learn and you get them to love science, math, coding, computers, and they end up growing up and want a career in that, you know.
Your learning curve can be steeper than what we learned in the past.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see they have a great advantage because they all have their tablets and their phones and what they're already playing on it, so they have that. They're used to that. So coding shouldn't be far away from that. And what is coding?
Yeah, definitely. But from a sysadmin perspective, what do you expect from the next year?
The next year, in terms of AI, I'd be looking at next week. I see it get faster, better, more readily available, cheaper. That's
Hopefully.
still a pain point, yeah.
I see next Ninja. I see someone is going to make the next big thing, and we're going to see it here next year.
And it doesn't have to be from a big corporation.
No, I think community.
That's the power.
Someone's going to do something big with AI, and we're going to see it.
Yeah, a whole new set of community tools.
Then we need to talk to Ronnie and Jürgen. Community tools.
Well-
They have that session.
Yeah.
on that.
That's what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Petri as well. Petri has been talking about that as well. And you know, I think that list is going to grow. And it only has to be a small tool if it makes sense.
Yeah, but that's what you say. If you have a good idea at the moment, some features are missing within the product, whatever. If you have an idea and you can extend that with AI to easily get it up and running, I think, and that's what you mean, I guess, probably we will see some of that on next year.
There's a social aspect to it as well. You go with your colleagues or your friends or whatever. You go to the bar if you have similar interests. Oh, I have this idea, and someone says, "Oh, I've got some coding skills," and then the next person has HTML skills and can build a front end. That's 3 people. I'm not saying I wouldn't like to do that anymore because there's more to that. But you can just do that whenever on your phone. If you have an idea, you can just code it or lay the basics of that.
Yeah.
That's the power.
Let's see what next year brings.
Oh yeah.
I'm really interesting. So we will.
I'll be back.
Yeah. We will continue this conversation going next year. And
Next session coming up.
the bell rings, so we need to finish up this recording. Thanks for participating. Thanks for talking about
Thanks.
AI, OSD cloud, and
Glad
stuff.
to be here.
And let's team up next year and see what's next.
I'll be there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for having me.